Okay, what's going on, everybody? We are here. We're live. I want to thank you all for joining me today. If you can see and hear me clearly, please drop a one in the live chat, and then we can get today's stream started. And as I'm waiting for the ones to come in, if you haven't already, please make sure you hit the like button because that is the most important thing you can do for me on this channel. What it does is that helps make sure that those who are subscribed to the channel will indeed get their notifications, and it also helps to push this video through the YouTube algorithm as well. Secondly, if you're new to the channel, or maybe you've been ghost watching this channel for quite some time now, please do me a favor and yourself a favor by hitting the subscribe button as well as the bell notification next to the subscribe button so you can be notified whenever I release a new video. And lastly, please make sure you share this video out on your social media platforms to your family and friends to inform them on this news and information. And yes, that does help to give me a slight boost in the YouTube algorithm as well. And I can see the ones are starting to come in. I can see the ones are starting to come in. So let's get today's show started. Let's get today's show started. As you can see, you can say title that I have on the thumbnail, at least, Kamala Harris, the queen of illegal immigration. She is 100% the queen of illegal immigration. That's what we're going to go through today, and that's what we're going to discuss today in detail. What inspired me to do this particular stream today is because something very interesting happened where some DNC documents, talking points, you can say, were leaked that exposed how coordinated the effort is to wash away the border czar critique from Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris was and still is indeed the border czar because that's what mainstream media told us she was. And when I say mainstream media, I'm particularly and specifically talking about left-leaning DNC media, from MSNBC to CNN, ABC, CBS, you name it, they all told us that she was the border czar. But now all of a sudden, when they don't want that label to be on her anymore, because that will most likely be her Achilles heel, the same way the migrant crisis was Biden's Achilles heel, because that is the case, they're now trying to wash that away. But the reality is this, right? At the end of the day, a vote for Kamala Harris is a vote for illegal immigration. I'll repeat that one more time. A vote for Kamala Harris is a vote for illegal immigration. And I want to play a couple video clips now that just really prove and highlight that point. This clip here is a news clip from about God knows how many years ago. I want to say probably 2005, 2006. And just take a listen to this here with Kamala Harris discussing illegal immigration and her stance on it as it pertains to sanctuary cities and everything of that nature. Let's listen to this.
Underestimate how easy it is to become a U.S. citizen.
Claudia Rivera knows all too well. She spent her Saturday at this immigrant resource fair in San Francisco, sponsored by Community Support Services and District Attorney Kamala Harris.
We're immigrants.
Sponsored by who? Who sponsored this event?
Community Support Services and District Attorney Kamala Harris.
Your immigrant status, whatever it is, does not, in our mind's eye, designate you as a criminal.
Harris wants immigrants to know that San Francisco police and prosecutors will protect illegal immigrants if they are victims of crime. Claudia Rivera says she came here illegally 3 years ago and needs a good job, medical services, and yes, citizenship.
I'm a good woman. I'm not criminal. I make it all things very good. I need help.
Let's listen to that one more time. What did she just say?
And needs a good job, medical services, and yes, citizenship.
She crossed the border illegally and demanded a good job, free health care, and citizenship. That I crossed here illegally and you're going to give me these things. Just making demands way back then. And Kamala Harris sponsored this event, to which she essentially agrees that that's what illegal immigrants deserve. Cross the border illegally, so it doesn't matter. As a matter of fact, the border should be decriminalized. It should actually be decriminalized. Anybody can just cross the border whenever they want to and then make their demands when they get here. And you shouldn't have to pay any type of penalty by way of deportation or jail time or anything like that. It should be 100% decriminalized. That's not me just saying that about Kamala Harris. This is her saying this stuff herself.
Very spirited debate on this stage last night on the topic of decriminalization of the border. If you'd be so kind, raise your hand if you think it should be a civil offense rather than a crime to cross a border without documentation. Can we keep the hands up so we could see them?
Who is that with her hands up? Saying that the border should be decriminalized? Looks like Kamala Harris to me. Looks like a whole lot of Democrats with Bernie Sanders. You know, you got Sleepy Joe, Pete Buttigieg. You never know. Pete might be her VP running mate. Pete Buttigieg might be our VP running mate, so watch out. We see who else wants to decriminalize the border. Andrew Yang, Marianne Williamson. Let's listen to this one more time.
We had a very spirited debate on this stage last night on the topic of decriminalization of the border. If you'd be so kind, raise your hand if you think it should be a civil offense rather than a crime to cross a border without documentation. Can we keep the hands up so we could see them?
I am in favor of saying that we're not going to treat people who are undocumented across the border as criminals. That's correct. That is correct. We're not going to treat people who are undocumented across the border as criminals. That's correct. That is correct. I am in favor of saying that we're not going to treat people who are undocumented across the border as criminals. That's correct. That is correct.
Once again, a vote for Kamala Harris is a vote for illegal immigration. If you have no issue with illegal immigration, if you have no issue with cities that used to be staple of this country, like Chicago and New York, being completely overrun, right? Bankrupt, and then just seeing the sheer disrespect of watching the citizens of these cities be passed up by illegal immigrants, not by way of working hard, but by way of handouts with all type of free housing, literally giving out free furniture, free everything, while the homeless populations in those same cities remain homeless, unhoused. If you don't have an issue with that, then vote for Kamala Harris. If you do have an issue with that, then you know what you need to do. And you know what I'm doing? I'm going to vote for Donald Trump. That's what I'm doing, just so there's no confusion. A lot of people, particularly, let me say this really quickly. A lot of Black folks online, y'all get up here and you do these streams like what I'm doing, and then you won't say that you're going to vote for Trump. I don't know why you guys are scared to say that. It's really ridiculous and it's very silly. Stop being scared. You're grown men and grown women. You clearly don't want Kamala Harris to win. So why you just won't say you're going to vote for Trump is beyond me. But it's really silly. And grown Black men and women that get online and do these same streams like me, but then want to hide behind some sort of kind of like, oh, you know, I don't know what you should do, but don't vote for Kamala. You should be ashamed of yourself, honestly, because it's disgusting. Knock it off. Stop it. Stop it already. Knock it off. Now, let's move forward, right? Let's carry on and let's move forward. But before I do that, I want to give my thank yous, man. Shout out to my man, Apex Prowler, for always coming through. He said, salute TD News and crew. I appreciate you, Apex Prowler, for being the first person to contribute to today's stream. And also shout out to my man, Saul, who keeps the lights on in my home. He said, might as well take off our yard fence and front doors. Basically, you might as well remove the take off your yard fence and front door at this point. I mean, and they know all about that in the city of Chicago. If you remember the city council meetings in Chicago, it wasn't just Black folks in those meetings mad. It was legal immigrants. You had legal immigrants that lived in the neighborhood of, if I remember correctly, it was called Gage Park. All type of legal immigrants who are screaming and shouting at Brandon Johnson with strong accents, upset over the fact that illegal immigrants have overrun their communities and that Brandon Johnson is prioritizing illegal immigrants over the legal migrants who are doing things the right way. So they know all about that over there. They know all about it. And shout out to my man, Walter Wilborn, for coming through as he always does. Thank you very much, brother. Thank you very much, Walter. Now, please hit the like button if you haven't already. And let's carry on and move forward. I see a couple other super chats have come through, but I want to keep things kind of flowing along rather smoothly and not just go through a whole bunch of super chats in the middle of the stream. But I will come back to you guys. Thank you very much for your support, and I deeply appreciate it. Now, let's talk about the migrant crisis, right? Like I said, a vote for Kamala Harris is a vote for illegal immigration, right? It's a vote for illegal immigration. We can say that with an absolute fact, not just because of her past rhetoric, like what I just played for you, but her most recent actions with her and the Biden administration. Kamala Harris and Biden didn't just give us illegal immigration. They literally gave us a whole migrant crisis, intentionally, deliberately man-made. We're going to go through that information right now so I can prove that point. But before I go through that, what I want to do is that I want to play this video here of Alejandro Mayorkas gleefully, with so much glee, discussing how Kamala Harris and the Biden administration rolled back virtually every Trump era border law, right? Every Trump era immigration law, every Trump era border control law that then created the migrant crisis. Let me play this for you right now. He was so happy.
Understand from you what Trump era immigration policies have been banned, ended, reversed, and if any investigations are underway by you.
So we have rescinded so many Trump immigration policies, it would take so much time to list them.
He said, listen, lady, I don't even have time to list all of the Trump era immigration laws that Kamala Harris and the Biden administration, which includes Alejandro Mayorkas, I don't even have enough time to sit here and list all of the Trump era immigration laws that we repealed. I don't even have time for that, lady. So I'm not even going to waste my time telling you. I want to play that one more time.
And I'd like to understand from you what Trump era immigration policies have been banned, ended, reversed, and if any investigations are underway by you.
So we have rescinded so many Trump immigration policies, it would take so much time to list them.
He said it would take forever. Ooh, it took a minute. We were sitting back, stripping back all of the Trump era immigration laws to create the migrant crisis that we have today. They stripped them all back to create the very migrant crisis that we have today. Let me pull this up on your screen right now. He can't go through. Here we go. It should be on the screen now. So like he said, he can't go through all of the policies that were stripped back. But I do want to take a moment to go through 3 critical policies out of all the policies that were stripped back and thrown in the trash, Trump era immigration policies. These 3 critical ones are the ones that really created the migrant crisis the most. Biden administration ends Trump era remain in Mexico policy. What is that? In a nutshell, it's this. Administered by the Department of Homeland Security, it requires migrants seeking asylum to remain in Mexico until their U.S. immigration court date. So Trump orchestrated it and fixed it so that if you want to come over here, you're asylum seeking, well, we'll hear you out eventually someday. Here's your court date. But in the meantime, you stay over there in Mexico. You stay there. You're not going to stay here so that you can come, like many have done already, and wreak havoc in New York City. That's not what we're going to do. You can stay over there. And for the most part, that kept everybody at bay from south of the border, because the goal isn't to come from all over the world to remain in Mexico. It's to come to the US, right? So with the remain in Mexico policy in place, that alone shuts down the migrant crisis. That alone, reinstating that would have shut it down alone, right? But then even worse, what Biden turns around and does, Harris and Biden, I should say, what Kamala Harris and Biden turn around and do, after repealing and throwing away remain in Mexico, they turn around and reinstate catch and release. Catch and release, in short, is simply the reverse of remain in Mexico. So as opposed to you asylum seeking, right, and having to wait your court date out in Mexico, when you cross the border illegally, you turn yourself in, we'll assign you a court date, and we'll assign you to a 5-star hotel in New York and Chicago. We'll provide you with free housing. We'll give you cash cards, and we'll allow you to get a driver's license as well in places like the state of Illinois, meaning Chicago. Shout out to JB Pritzker, right? Catch and release is just the complete 180 opposite of what remain in Mexico is. Instead of remain in Mexico, catch and release was remain in the US, but in a 5-star hotel in downtown Chicago and in New York City. That's what that was. But on top of that, here's the real kicker. Kamala Harris and Biden put in place a deportation moratorium, which effectively stops all deportations. So not only do you end remain in Mexico, but you reinstate catch and release, which is the complete opposite of remain in Mexico. Catch and release should be, changed to remain in the US. And then you put a stop to all deportations. And we can see that here by Joe Biden's deportation record, which is miserable. Under Trump, 2018, 256,000 deportations. In 2019, 267,000 deportations. In 2020, the year of the great illness, you see deportations is down to 185,000, but that's still a lot. And then we get to the Biden era, 59,000 deportations in fiscal year 2021. Only 59,000. Mind you, prior to the Trump administration, the Obama administration was deporting illegal immigrants like crazy, up to the tune of 400,000 on average in his last 10 years, right? The last 4 years of his administration, averaging 400,000 deportations. And then by the time you get to Biden, it's 59,000. We hadn't seen numbers that low since 1996. 1996 was the last year in America when deportations were under 100,000. Then in comes Biden, and he brings us back to 1996. But not only does he bring us back to 1996 concerning deportations, he unleashes about 10 to 12 million illegal immigrants onto the population by repealing back all of the Trump era policies. All of this that was very intentional and very deliberate. These 3 key policy changes alone, repealing remain in Mexico, reinstating catch and release, and placing in a deportation moratorium to effectively stop all deportations, that alone created the migrant crisis. And then after creating the migrant crisis, what did they do? They lied to us over and over again, stating that there was no problem, the borders are secure, and anyone who said that the borders are open, they're spreading misinformation, disinformation, fake news, right? Let me play a couple of those video clips for you right now, where we're literally going to watch Alejandro Mayorkas, Biden, Harris, Karine Jean-Pierre, the entire Kamala Harris Biden administration lied to the American people literally over and over and over again about the borders being secure when they clearly were not. Let's get into those clips right now.
It's closed. The border is.
Let me rewind that back just a little bit.
The border is closed. The border is secure. And the border is secure. The border is closed. The border is secure, and the border is not open.
We have a secure border.
I can tell you the border is secure.
By what measure is it secure now, sir?
So there is not a common definition.
The president has done more to secure the border and to deal with this issue of immigration than anybody else.
That is such a bold-faced lie. Listen to how they just lie to you. Just lie with a straight face. Did you hear what Green Jean-Pierre said? Let's listen to that one more time. Just lied.
Definition.
The president has done more to secure the border and to deal with this issue of immigration than anybody else. He really has.
We're certainly doing a lot more to secure the border.
As you know, the president has done everything that he can. He's done that alone without the help of Republicans.
Why aren't you guys stopping the flow at the border?
We are stopping the flow at the border.
Secretary Mayorkas, do you continue to maintain that the border is secure?
Yes, and we are working day in and day out to enhance its security.
It should be criminal to lie like this. It should literally be criminal to lie the way that the Kamala Harris Biden administration lied to us every day in and day out.
Removal of Title 42 does not mean the border is open.
The border is secure, but we also have a broken immigration system.
You created it. Listen to President Harris. Listen to President Harris, 2024 President Harris. They lied to you to your face.
The border is open.
The border is secure, but we also have a broken immigration system.
You broke it. You literally broke it. She said the border is secure, which was a lie, but we also have a broken immigration system, a system that she and the Biden administration literally and intentionally broke. Literally and intentionally broke. And then after breaking it, they placed Kamala Harris, Joe Biden. He put her in charge of the border to stem the tides of illegal immigration. There are plenty of articles that you can read, particularly from March of 2021. Put that in March of 2021. In March of 2021, there are 1,000,001 articles that you can read that discuss how Joe Biden placed Kamala Harris in charge of the border to stem the tides of illegal immigration. She was in charge of that. And then from there, we were inundated by left-leaning DNC media outlets that told us that Kamala Harris was the border czar. Now they're telling us that we didn't see it here, what we did see it here, and that it was the Republicans who are now saying that Kamala Harris is the border czar and that they're spreading and pushing fake news, misinformation, disinformation. When literally they told us this, and it's all on video, and I'm going to play it for you right now. But before I do that, I do have to go back to giving my thank yous to everyone who has showed support to the channel so far. It is deeply appreciated. I do not exist without you guys' support. Thank you very much, Crystal Watson, for the super sticker. I appreciate you. Shout out to Presidential Mike. Presidential Mike came through and stated they caught El Chapo's boss in Texas today. I'm sure he was just visiting, not drug trafficking. I'm pretty sure the same thing. I'm pretty sure. Shout out to my man TS175 for the super sticker. I appreciate the support, TS. Thank you, Brian Thomas, for the super sticker. I appreciate the support. Shout out to Antoine McGee. Antoine McGee said, or Antoine McGee, I think it's Antoine McGee, said, always watch your content. First time donating. Keep up the great work. I appreciate your first time donation, brother. Thank you very much. Like I say, you guys keep the lights on. Well, Saul, you keep the lights on and you feed my son. But you all keep the lights on over here, and I appreciate the support, man. And the very last one, and then we're going to get back into the stream. The King 83 said the Dems, it ain't our what? To the Dems, it ain't a crisis. their future voters. There you go. There you go. And that is something that I have covered on numerous occasions here on this channel, particularly what we've seen occur throughout the country with a strong push for non-citizen voting in local elections throughout numerous cities in the country. It was tried in Boston twice. I believe it failed. It did fail both times. Non-citizen voting was attempted in, I believe it was New York. It failed over there. The Supreme Court, the state Supreme Court actually shut it down, but that is being appealed at the moment. But luckily they shut it down over there. Brandon Johnson in Chicago, Emperor Brandon Johnson, Emperor of the People's Republic of Chicago, he's been tap dancing around it. He hasn't spoken much about it once before. He addressed it slightly once when he was running for Emperor of Chicago. And then he talked around it as he talks around everything. But believe me, that's on his mind, as well as the governor of Illinois, J.B. Pritzker. That's on his mind as well. And it did pass in Washington, D.C. In Washington, D.C., they do now have non-citizen voting in local elections in Washington, D.C. So the push for these folks to be able to vote is strong. It's strong. Now, let's get into all of the DNC media outlets literally telling us that Kamala Harris is the border czar, and then turning around and telling us that they didn't say she's the border czar. It was the Republicans that said it, when literally they told us she was the border czar for 4 years straight, up until she's now running for re-election, right? Let's play this.
Border czar.
Let me rewind it back just a little bit. And please hit the like button if you haven't already.
Quote unquote, border czar. Vice President Harris was not a border czar.
Meantime, Vice President and border czar Kamala Harris facing some backlash.
What he said about Harris and immigration was not true. She was never appointed border czar.
And this will be her first visit to the U.S.-Mexico border region since she was appointed as the border czar by President Biden.
People gonna have to counter the misinformation. You already hear folks talking about the border czar. She wasn't the border czar.
President Biden tapped Kamala Harris, Vice President Kamala Harris, to be the border czar.
Now, she wasn't the border czar. That's what Republicans labeled her.
It is unbelievable how these people can lie to us like that. If you notice and pay attention, there's about 30 more seconds left so far in the first 30 seconds of this clip. If you look on the bottom right-hand corner or bottom left-hand corner, you don't see any of those say Fox News. None of them say Newsmax. What's the other? OAN or something like that. None of them say the Blaze TV or, the Tucker Carlson network. It was literally Democrats who told us over and over and over again that Kamala Harris was the border czar, only to then turn around and lie to you in your face and tell you she was never the border czar. We never said that. The Republicans said that. Literally lying nonstop.
Now, she wasn't the border czar. That's what Republicans labeled her.
They were very critical of Kamala Harris, especially in her role as border czar.
Now what she's up against is folks lying about her border record, calling her a border czar.
Kamala Harris, who was appointed as the border czar.
The Biden team didn't declare her the border czar. They wanted her to work on kind of the root causes of immigration.
There has been so much criticism against Kamala Harris. She was the border czar.
Calling her sort of the border czar, which wasn't necessarily the case.
So the border, if they weren't planning to address it in a major way, do not make her your border czar. She met with some of the Northern Triangle countries, but nothing has effectively changed.
Now, here's what's really interesting. And this is something that we all knew and understood already concerning talking points being pushed. But it's one thing to kind of see the evidence of it, right? It's another thing to see the evidence of it. This person here, let me pull this tweet up for you. Give me just a second. Here we go. And I'm going to zoom in just a little bit. Laura Loomer, who is an investigative journalist, she posted this. Kamala Harris and the DNC are giving Democrat elected officials, surrogates, Roland Martin, and members of the media talking points about Kamala being the border czar. Here's a copy of their talking points. They don't want you to see their talking points are all scripted. How embarrassing. They have to tell people what to say. Kamala needs notes, just like Joe Biden. Now, what I want you to do here is look at this video that was created and how they have the scripted notes here lined up perfectly with what the news outlet, what the news members are actually saying, right? Concerning following the script that they were told to follow. So let me pull that up on the screen for you right now.
Borders are.
Let me rewind it just a little bit. I'm going to make it full screen. And then I'll talk with it like this because I want you to see it better. So first, Vice President Harris was never appointed border czar. There has never been such a position. It doesn't exist. Mind you, these are the same people that told us that she was the border czar. They're now saying otherwise. But check this out.
Actually border czar.
Border czar, which was not something that was formally conveyed upon her. She's been labeled incorrectly by some members of the right as the border czar.
Republicans named her the border czar.
Republicans have always exaggerated what her job was at the border.
Republicans, again, have labeled her the border czar.
You see how that's scripted? Border czar title invented by Republicans and press repeats. We just watched a sequence of videos in which it was literally Democrats, DNC news outlets that reported on that and pushed that narrative. Now they're following their new notes to lie on Republicans and say that they're the ones who did it when they didn't, because we literally just saw the video evidence.
The border czar.
Republicans have always exaggerated what her job was at the border.
Republicans, again, have labeled her the border czar.
But that's not exactly what President Biden asked her to do.
She was never put in charge of the border.
That wasn't actually her task.
Not to secure it, but to address the underlying roots of migration.
She was charged with leading the administration's efforts to address the root causes of migration.
The root causes of migration to the U.S.
The root causes.
Root causes.
Root causes.
The root causes.
Root causes
of immigration.
We also want to point.
Yeah, they're all good actors. I'll give it to them. They are definitely following the script. They are definitely following the script. And as Ruthless Millennium stated, and I said earlier, I don't see Fox News, News Nation, Newsmax, Scripts, it's literally all the DNC news outlets, that told us this, and now they're trying to walk it back and say that it was the other guys when it was them.
Out that right now, root causes
of immigration.
We also want to point out that right now, apprehension numbers continue to decrease in our country, especially over the last few months.
And I just want to note that border crossings have been going down.
And illegal border crossings are lower right now.
Migrants.
I love that talking point of how illegal border crossings are lower right now. You can't create a migrant crisis and then turn around and try to run on, look at how we're fixing the border. No, you literally created the problem. You very literally created the problem. You don't get to run on, we're fixing the problem that we created.
Crossings continue to drop.
Border crossings are way down.
Border crossings are down.
Apparently they're down, right? They're down after they created it.
Understand from you what Trump era immigration policies have been banned, ended, reversed, and if any investigations are underway by you.
So we have rescinded so many Trump immigration policies, it would take so much time to list them.
That is probably my favorite video out of everything that I've played so far. That is probably the best one, because it just highlights and just captures in a very quick 20 seconds how the Kamala Harris Biden administration, along with Alejandro Mayorkas and their mouthpiece Karine Jean-Pierre, very literally and intentionally created a migrant crisis. And like I said at the top of the stream, if you want more of that, then I guess vote for Kamala Harris. If you want more of it, If you don't want more of that, vote Trump. Those are your options. Those are your options. And with all that being said, that does it for today's stream. So I want to thank you all for joining me today. Please hit the like button on your way out. And I do want to make sure that I shout out the rest of you who contributed to today's stream. Also, follow me on Telegram at TD Media Group. That is extremely important that you do that. And please follow me on Rumble at TD Media Group, because I am also simulcasting on Rumble. Shout out to the 48 of you who are watching me on Twitter. Please make sure, if you haven't already, to not just watch me on Twitter, but to migrate over here to the actual YouTube channel, TD Media Group, so that you can take part in the lively live chat. So like I said, in closing, man, I just want to give my thank yous, the last remaining thank yous to all of you who have supported today's stream. Shout out to, where did I stop at? My man Saul, who came back once again. He said, if you want to upset Dems with facts, read them presidential authority to suspend entry of aliens under 8 USC 1182F. Thanks, TD. I actually read that before. I think I read that on 2 occasions. And what was interesting is that I remember on the third live stream, when I went to read it again, the Biden administration actually altered it. They altered it. In the original version of it, it was very clear cut. It was very, that line right there, right? That law, you can say, it was very clear cut, where it stated that the president has the authority to immediately close the border if essentially the influx of migrants, illegal immigrants, goes up against the interest of the country, right? It's just a net negative. Clearly, it's a net negative, but Biden wouldn't exercise that authority. He wouldn't exercise that authority, right? And then after the fact, because people kept bringing it up to him and they kept talking about this, they then, I don't want to say rewrote it, but they just made that piece of legislation a little bit more, they made it more convoluted, right? They made it more convoluted and made it a little bit more difficult to understand, where it was once very clear cut in what it stated, which was essentially, yes, the president does have the power to close the border if we're simply being overwhelmed and it's going against our best interest, which it clearly is. You know, like I said, ask everybody in Chicago, ask everybody in New York City, ask everybody in Washington, D.C., ask them in Denver. Denver has collapsed for the most part. They know all about that over in Denver. Shout out to Mr. Tolbert. Mr. Tolbert said, the context, and I do, wait, the context and doesn't matter. I think you're saying the context doesn't matter, right? As long as Trump is mentioned, nothing else matters. Exactly. Context doesn't matter. Just blame it on Trump. Just blame it on Donald Trump. You know, context doesn't mean anything. Just blame it on Trump. Shout out to Lee Bratton. Lee Bratton said, I think it's pure ignorance to say that you're voting for Kamala because she's a woman or because you hate Trump. Foolishness not to be informed, right? It is foolishness to not be informed. And the information is there. It's present, ready, available to all those who wish to see it. It's present in videos like this. And unfortunately, there are a lot of people who you'll present this video to them. You'll show them the videos within the video that I played, and it will mean nothing to them. It'll go in one ear and out the other because apparently, you know, Donald Trump is going to bring back slavery, and Project 2025 is going to bring back all type of black codes in the transatlantic slave trade. And, you know, of course, we all know what's going to happen. If Trump gets back in office, black folks, we're finished. We're done, because Donald Trump is going to.
They're going to put you all back in chains.
Don't put us in chains. Project 2025 is going to.
They're going to put you all back in chains.
Project 2025 is going to put black folks back in chains, apparently. It's going to put us back in chains. The first years of Trump was a test run. He was just playing. The first 4 years, he was just playing. You can't go off the first 4 years of Trump. He was just joking. I'm just joking. He was playing. It's like the next 4 years, if he wins, it's really going to be serious, and he's really going to come after black folks.
They're going to put you all back in chains.
Anyways, that does it for today's stream. I want to thank you all for joining me today, man. Have a great weekend and a safe one. I will catch you all next week. You never know, there might be breaking news over the weekend, and I pop back up on a Saturday or Sunday again, like I have for the last 2 weeks. So we'll see what happens. But if not, if I don't catch you guys this weekend, I will see you guys next week. Have a great one and a safe one. Peace. Wait a minute. I got you. Y'all, Miss Winnie. I got you, Miss Winnie. I was about to head on out of here, and I said, "Wait a minute, who is this at the top? Who is that?" Miss Winnie said, "Kamala is a shameless homewrecker. So is Jill Stevenson. Jill did the same while she was married and cheating with Joe while he was married to the first wife, Nella. Black women supporting homewreckers." Ooh, Miss Winnie, them fighting words. You can't have me, a black man, reading super chats like that. You're going to get me in trouble, Miss Winnie. Miss Winnie, you're going to get me in trouble. Hush your mouth now, Miss Winnie. Hush your mouth. Anyways, I'll catch you guys later, man. I appreciate the support. Thank you. Peace. And have a great weekend. Have a great weekend.